Hi, this is Coach Judy. Welcome to the Wonderfully Whole Lifestyle Program. It's a program where we bridge the supernatural from a biblical perspective with the natural. And we help women 40 and over to live a wonderfully whole lifestyle. Today, we want to talk about women as they grow older. And as we know that this month is celebrating women, I want to salute all the women out there because you are such heroes, heroines rather, because you're doing so many things. The 21st century woman is such a busy woman. She's wearing so many hats. She's an executive, a pastor, pastor's wife. She's a community leader. She's a housewife. She's a mother, a caregiver, and so many other things that she's uh, doing. And she has to be on top of her game. And the last thing that she works on is on her health. And this is where I come in. I'm Coach Judy. I am here to help women steward their bodies for success, steward their bodies so that they could fulfill their purpose, their God given purpose, and have energy and vitality to accomplish all their assignments. So today we are looking at as we grow older, you know, we certain things happen in our bodies, especially you're over 40, you're in your 50s, in your 60s, some of you are perimenopause, some of you are in menopause, and your body is going through changes. And all of these things are on your plate, you know. You have to get stuff done. So there are a lot of responsibilities. So we want to not only age gracefully, we want to age powerfully. So what could we do? We and I want to give a great example, which is not a very positive example, but yes, it could encourage women to take better care of their bodies before they reach the age of 40, or if you're in your 40s, it's never too late to start taking care of your body. And I went to visit my cousin in a nursing home. She's only 60 years old. She had a stroke and she has gone through so many things in her life emotionally. And because she went through emotionally, she didn't take care of her body as she should have. And she had a stroke. Now she's 60 years old in a nursing home, recuperating. She has to use a wheelchair. Thank God there was no paralysis. But we went to visit her, and there in her room, her roommate is only 67 years old. Then we met another woman in the nursing home. She's also in a wheelchair and she's 61 years old. Now, coming back to my cousin's roommate, she too had a stroke and then she had a little paralysis and she broke her hip. Now, we're looking at women in their 60s. There's so much more to life because that is not God's mind that you should be laid up in a bed, could barely move, have someone to dress you, have someone to help you in a wheelchair. That is not what God's best. So God's best is that you are to be wonderfully whole. You are to age powerfully, not and you're not supposed to be fragile. You're not supposed to be falling and breaking bones. You're supposed to be strong and have a lot of strength and vitality because there's much more to life. You're not supposed to give up hope in your 60s. And as we're looking at women, I was looking at Deborah, in the book of Judges. She was a judge, right? And also a prophetess. And she received a word to give to Barak that now was the time for Israel to rise up and come against their enemies. Barak said he was not going alone. And she said, I will go with you. And this woman, and we see such strength in this woman. She was strong spiritually. She was strong mentally. She was strong emotionally. The Bible doesn't say how old she was, but she could have been in her 40s, maybe in her 50s. But the key thing I wanted to point out right here, here was a woman, okay? She was a wife. She was a judge. She was a prophetess, so she had a lot on her plate. But yet, when Barak said that he was not going alone, she went with him, and she went. And Barak was a military man, so this woman, in addition to being strong spiritually and mentally and emotionally, she had to be strong physically because these guys are military guys, and she decided to go up there with him and just accompany him so the prophetic word would come to pass because God said to go up and fight against their enemies and he will give them their territory. So she was strong physically. And this is what I want to point out because we only look at the spiritual side. Yes, she was a tough woman. Yes, she was emotionally strong because here she is going up with all these guys. And it was back in the days when women weren't supposed to be doing these things, She was not, women didn't go up with an army. She did the unusual. And I'm sure the other people in her village probably said, who does she think she is? People were snickering at her. So she had to be mentally tough and emotionally tough. And now she had to be in great shape to go up to battle, accompany Barak to battle. So God wants us, his woman, not just only to be one-sided. We see a lot of strong women spiritually. They are doing great things, and of course, the first thing is we have to be strong spiritually. But God is talking to his woman these days because he has a lot of assignments for them to accomplish, and he wants them to take care of their bodies because with all those responsibilities, we we tend to forget taking care of our bodies, self-care, stewardship of the body. So this is why I am here and I'm coaching women 40 and over to do this very thing. Now, we want to look at strengths. We want to look at some facts first and what we can do to work around these facts. All right. Our body is going through some changes, especially if you're in your 50s, 60s. And when we start to grow older, There's some muscle loss begins earlier, you know, than we anticipate. At the age of 30, women gradually start losing muscles due to a process called sarcopenia. Women can lose 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade. So my goodness, so if we start losing muscle mass at the age of 30, oh my God, it's a lot of muscle mass that is being lost. So and this muscle loss is due to hormonal shifts. So with muscle loss, our metabolism is affected. Muscle loss decreases our metabolism and it reduces strength. And to offset this, we must do some movement. We want to increase our movement. We should not decrease our movement. And as a fitness coach, I am encouraging women to start some exercise routine if you have not started already. And you want to really move, you have to schedule it in because there's so many responsibilities on your plate and you need energy. So if you don't move, you begin to lose muscle. You don't have the energy and stamina as when you were in your 20s and 30s. So we are focused on movement. And I want to talk about movement today because we want to incorporate movement, cardio. But today, I want to emphasize strength training. I want to emphasize strength training or resistance training because we need that to offset muscle mass. And when we do strength training, some maybe twice or 3 times a week, we will build muscle. But also, another thing that happens to us as we grow older, because estrogen, there's a decrease in estrogen, the bone density begin to decline. And estrogen helps to protect bones. And when it drops, bone loss speeds up. So when we begin to move and we begin to incorporate strength training in our exercise routine, it's not only building muscle mass, it's not only building our muscles, but also it is strengthening our bones. Because some people, as they go older, there's a risk for osteoporosis. And we don't want that to happen because when that happens, you find people falling, there are fractures happening. Like this woman I told you about that I saw on Saturday, she broke her hip. She was in her she's 67 years old. So we want to offset that by making sure that we do some kind of movement because we want to build strong bones. And also another factor is that when we lose bone faster during perimenopause and menopause. So we want to be aware of that. We want to be proactive. So we don't fall, break bones, have weak bones. So we are incorporating resistance training or strength training. And there's so many benefits to that. Of course, we're increasing muscle mass and we are improving our bone density. We are increasing metabolism. We are protecting our joints. We are improving balance and prevents falls. This morning, I was coaching a woman, a pastor, and we were doing some resistance training. We were doing some um, movement, strength training with weights. We weren't doing heavy weights. You don't have to lift heavy weights to do strength training. We were just simply doing working with 3 pounds and 5 pound weights, and we were doing a lot of reps. And then we did some things with the weights that help improve our balance. So it wasn't just only with the weights. We were doing some strength resistance training that was helping her balance. And this supports healthy aging. And then even so, how do we do this? Okay. Some great exercises to include in strength training or resistance training. One exercise is squats. So this morning I worked with her. We did about 12 semi squats. So we have to do these things because we want to age powerfully. Some exercises for resistance training is working with resistance band workouts, and where you get different bands that you can use in exercising, and of course lightweight training, which is what I did with the pastors this morning, and body weight exercises like doing a plank. You could do an elbow plank, a straight plank, and staying in there for a minute or so. All of this is strengthening our bones and building strong muscle mass. So we are looking at that. And the key is that we do not want to, just be falling and breaking bones and uh, doing replacements. So we are focusing on strength training. And then diet is very important. Diet, you know, sometimes women go on diet and they go on some rigid diet and it's not good, especially over 40. And we want to include enough protein to build muscle. Okay. And why protein matters? Because it repairs and builds muscle tissue. It supports metabolism. It helps maintain strength and mobility. You want to be able to get up and do things. When I left that place, that nursing home, and I felt very bad, but at the same time, it encourages me that I am on the right track for my health and how I could help women so that they don't end up in a nursing home because they're too young for that. They have their whole lives. So a general guidance how we include protein. Okay, we want to include protein with every meal. We want to aim for 20 to 30 grams per meal. And you could do this in many ways. Eggs, uh, salmon, lean meat like lean chicken, you know, wild caught fish, cod, all these things. And if you're into beef, get grass-fed beef. So we want to go on the lean side. And another thing that I do on my own, I incorporate in my lifestyle is bone broth. You could have bone broth in the morning. You could have a nice smoothie. Fill if it were a green smoothie, you could add some protein powder in that. At my juice bar, I used to make a protein shake for the guys who were um, bodybuilding, and I would do a green juice with kale, celery, green apples, make the juice, and then I put it in my blender, and I would add protein powder. I would add flaxseed. I would add hemp. So that would have about 30 grams of protein in a nutritious smoothie. So especially if you are a woman on the go, you don't have time to make eggs and pancakes and all that stuff. And instead of going out and grab a bagel or grab a donut, which is full of sugar, you could just make your green juice the night before, put it in a blender, and add the protein powder, add collagen, add flax, add um just went out of my head. We add flax. Sometimes I put in maca powder, and that gives you uh, a a very powerful smoothie, and you get your 20 grams or more in that protein shake. For lunch, you could do salmon. You could do a quinoa salad. You have some eggs to that, and you build on the protein because we need that. And all of these things, and we add in protein, and we add in nutrients that help us, the calcium, the vitamin D, which helps absorb calcium, magnesium, which supports bone strength, and K2. So all of these things that we are doing so that you do not have fractures, that prevention is better than cure. An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So we want to do all of these things so that we could be strong. When a person I look at in the secular, I look at Martha Stewart. This woman is aging well. She's in her 80s. She modeled for Sports Illustrated in her 80s. She gets up in the morning early in the way, 6 o'clock, and she's doing Pilates. I don't know if she's doing any kind of strength training, but you see her fulfilling her life. She just wrote her 100 books. So what I am saying to women 40 and over, and as we are celebrating Women Month, I am encouraging you to take better care of your health, you know, because if you don't, somebody will have to take care of you, just as those women I saw in the nursing home. It was so sad. But there's hope. I told my cousin, you do the physical therapy, do what it needs to get out of there, and you could build up your body. It's never too late. It's never too late to start. I saw this woman. She started uh, strength training. She started bodybuilding at the age of 70. They showed the before and after pictures. Before, she was overweight, she had arthritis, she had diabetes, all of these things. But her daughter encouraged her to start going to the gym And at the age of 70, she started working out. Now she's in her 70s. She doesn't have all those health issues. She looks great. She is energized. So, woman, this is your month. Start. If you have not started doing some type of movement, and which we emphasize today, resistance training, started, do it 2 or 3 times a week, plus the other exercises. And I coach women online. So if you're so busy you can't get to the gym, you could work with me online, one-on-one, via Zoom, and get your exercise in. So I celebrate you, beautiful woman of God. I celebrate you. Get on a schedule to steward this body and be well and be wonderfully whole. God bless. This is Coach Judy. See you next week.